We help parents raise their kids to be Christ followers. I'm Pastor Pete, and today's topic is sharing the gospel. You maybe have thought that your training was over when you reached the elementary stage, but it isn't. This stage has a number of things to train. The things you train now are just a little bit more complex. And today's topic is a good example of things to train at the elementary stage. As Christians, it's our responsibility to share the gospel. You may not have had the gift of evangelism, but God has called every one of us to go into the world and share the gospel. For most people, that's a difficult proposition. Unless you grew up in a home where you saw someone share the gospel consistently, you probably don't have a frame of reference on how to pass this on to your child. So, what do? How do you share this value with your child? You'll hear us say in almost every tip, you have to live the value first. If you want to train your child to do it, you first have to be doing it. That means you need to find a place to be missional and let your child see you do it. Maybe it's a restaurant you go to a lot and you become a witness to the waiter. Maybe you sign up to lead a small group. Maybe you do a Bible study during the lunch hour at work and discuss it around the dinner table with your child. Own the responsibility to share the gospel in some way and let your child be exposed to you doing it. Second, train the value. I would make sure the child understands a few things about sharing the gospel. First, they need to make a clear gospel plan. Some examples you can find online are on the Romans Road. It uses the book of Romans to explain the gospel. Another method uses just one verse like John 3:16 or Romans 6:23. There are a number of methods to ensure clarity for your child. Just make sure it's clear to them. Once they clearly understand it from Scripture, you want them to understand that sharing the gospel isn't simply sharing information that you know. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. You have to first build a relationship with others through kindness and with honesty. You want to build a personal relationship. And third, be clear about the message of the gospel that they memorized. Once the opportunity to share the gospel comes around, don't become passive or vague. Be clear with the message. Another way to get this done is to invite that person to church. Some people aren't comfortable with being this forward with people. Invite them to church and let your pastor share it. And finally, make sure your child understands that it's not their responsibility to get someone to accept Christ. It's simply their responsibility to be a witness for Jesus. Leave it up to God and let the other person decide what to do with it. You can't feel like a failure or like you didn't do it right. You're simply a witness. I hope that for many of you, this tip serves as a way that you can share the gospel yourself. Because remember, God uses your desire to raise your kid right to get to your heart. Thanks for listening to me. Now, take a moment and let Him speak to you.